monsoon land. Now, there are times when it rains and times when it is not raining for a long time, and there are times when it's warm and there are times when it's cold. Now, and these regions, they are in India, in southeastern India, on Malaysia, in Indonesia, in Oceania, in northern Australia, in Vietnam, in Thailand, and these regions, Papua New Guinea. Now, how does it happen? Now, first, the other thing, there are different types of vegetation. There's deciduous forest, there are rainforest, tropical rainforest, there's desert, there's shrubland, and so on, grassland. And the deciduous trees, they are letting actually their leaves fall at the beginning of a hot season to prevent water loss from transpiration. And it comes from the word Monsoon, which is Arabic for season. Now it happens that way. Air is far easier cooling up or heating up over the land than on water. Water keeps the temperature of the air pretty much the same. It stops it from going so fast up and down. When it's now winter, in the Himalaya, it gets cold very fast, very much faster than on the ocean. And that causes now to be there a high atmospheric pressure. And that causes the wind to blow from the ocean up to the Himalaya in the north. So it is cold in the Himalaya in the mountains, there in Central Asia almost, and now the wind is blowing from the south up because it's very cold. Here it's not so cold, there it's cold. There's a high atmospheric pressure, wind is blown in. The wind comes from the sea, where water has evaporated into the air, and the air brings with all these evaporated water droplets it with, and when it comes to the mountain ranges or the land or cools down or whatever, it rains down. So basically for a long time, when it's in the winter cold in Central Asia, in the Himalaya, in the mountains, there's all the time blowing wind from the Indian Ocean upwards, and it's raining when for a long time in southeast India or in other regions. In summers area, where it is hot in the Himalaya, and there's a low temperature, low atmospheric pressure, and now the wind is blowing outwards, because it's then colder at the ocean, and here on the land it's warmer basically, and the wind is blowing outwards. The wind coming from the land does not have water in it. It couldn't take water up while it's on the land. So when the whole summer through, or the whole July through, for example, the wind is blowing outwards and it is dry in India, for example. Where is it? And it can be actually differently depending on what part of the world someone is. In India, it is raining in January. In eastern Malaysia, it is raining in July. And the season is the other way around. Because all these phenomena can happen in different directions. Here on the oceans, in different directions. But basically they're coming from the islands. Sometimes they're coming over the islands to Malaysia. And when it rains already in Indonesia, and then in the other way around, it's coming from the other side. So sometimes someone has raining just basic on Himalaya, like India, raining when and when. And then it's maybe the same wind, but the wind comes from the land and brings rain, or from the other side from the thing and brings then rain, but it rains down before it reaches that part because there's a mountain range on one side. So sometimes the rain comes from here and it rains down here, sometimes the rain comes from here and it never rains here. And it can be differently depending on what country is lying behind the mountain range. So basically the point of it is, it can be that there is a monsoon season there, but not there, or the other way around. And it comes just through being water cooling and heating faster on land, and if it gets hot or cold, the wind is blowing in or out. And the wind takes water with it if it comes from the rain. If it comes from the land, it does not take water with it, and it is not raining. And it's dry for a long time, the dry season. That is according to Reader's Digest Library of Modern Knowledge Book 3, Part 22, Regions of the Earth, written by Hugh Clayton, John Coyle, Michael Frenchman, D.H. Sinclair, on the pages 1084 and 1085. Hi and welcome. I'm trying to learn climatology, today monsoon land, and after we've done it, we're going to do martial arts basics training. And if you participated in the martial arts basics training, then it's at your own risk. Monsoon land. Areas that experience a complete reversal of wind direction over the year are known as monsoon lands, from the Arabic monsoon season. That is the reason there's a change in the wind. I heard it a couple times. The wind will change in the monsoon. When monsoon season starts and when the winds will start. I think in the movie Cast Away from 2000 with Tom Hanks, it's also made by Robert Zemeckis. Something about the wind season. That is the point. So it seems to be a wind change. And if you look, all these monsoon things, monsoon land, that is this lighter brown, they are all around the equator. And that makes sense. And that is why all these people who are in the Pacific cast away on an island. We're waiting for wind season because the wind is changing. And that is causing also the monsoon, the rain. So, monsoon land are areas that experience a complete reversal of wind direction over the year are known as monsoon lands. And that word is from the Arabic mawsim, which means season. Differential heating and cooling of the land and sea in Asia is the cause. So the land of Asia and the sea around Asia is heating at different paces. At different paces. The reason is that water has, we did in biochemistry, has a big amount of, it can hold a lot of, store a lot of energy, there's a lot of warmth or coldness. It takes a lot to heat water up. The land is always heating faster than the water. Maybe not always, maybe there's some iron land or something which holds longer. But it would be still not on land, it would be the land itself, and that could be ever the case. But let's do it in geology, or somewhere else, in thermodynamics. Now, what do we have here? In January, intense cooling leads to an area of high atmospheric pressure over Tibet and winds blow outwards. So in January, intense cooling leads to an area of high atmospheric pressure over Tibet and winds blow outwards. So in the Himalaya region, where north of India, where it gets cold, and that happens around January, so it gets very cold in the Himalaya. And because it's cold, that leads to a high atmospheric pressure. I don't really understand these parts, but we're in climatology, we're going to come to it. It gets cold, and therefore there's a high pressure. And that causes the wind to blow outwards from the Himalaya somewhere to the south something. In July, the situation is reversed. Intense heating caused on areas of low atmospheric pressure into which winds are drawn. So there's now a low atmospheric pressure and winds are drawn to it because the land is heating strongly. The winds take up water over this region. The winds take up water over the sea and release it when forced upwards and cool the mountains. Now the air is just above the water. There's air above the land and air above the water. And water is just evaporating basically, and now some of this water comes into the air. And now if the air is sucked in because somewhere else it got strongly warmer and the low temperature is higher, so the wind is sucked in, the air is sucked in, the water is just sucked with it in. But then the water in the air comes against the mountains and it stays when it rains down, or it cools down and it rains down. And now we have a lot of rain. A complex pattern of wet and dry seasons result from the complex configuration of land, mountains and sea. So there is a pattern happening, but it is a bit complex, and there are wet times and drier times, and that happens because of the land, mountain and sea. So the land, because the land is heating up or cooling down in the winter, the sea because that is cooling not so fast down and heating also not so fast up, and the air which is sucked in because the air at the water or the air over water is colder and the one over the air is higher. That makes a low pressure. Low pressure because the air goes up. That makes sense. If the air goes here away, the air comes to it. And the water is now sucked in, but now the water comes again against mountains, it cools down and it rains down. In January, southwest India is dry as northeast winds blow offshore. So in January, when it's cold in the Himalaya, in the southwest of India, it is dry because the northeast winds, the northeast, do it blow from north to east? Blow offshore. The northeast blows offshore. Yes, it blows offshore, so it comes. What does it mean? I think offshore means to go off to the shore. So outwards. And that means the water the air goes from the land to the water. So it does not have much water in it. How much influence do big lakes like in Canada have on similar phenomena? In July, the onshore, so onshore it comes again onto the shore, southwest monsoon brings rain. And in July, it is warm in the Himalaya on land. I explain it that way, it is warm, so the air goes up, expands, goes up, something like that, and that makes it having a low pressure. The air just goes up, and now we're saying high pressure in July. High atmospheric pressure. If it's cold, high pressure. Yes, if it's warm, low pressure. Whatever, we're gonna come later to it. And now the air sucked in, comes over India and rains down. By contrast, the east coast of the Malayan Peninsula is wetter in January. The northeast winds blow onshore, then in July, when the mountainous spine of the peninsula relieves the southwest monsoon of the moisture before they reach the east. So Malayan, I don't even know exactly where it is. It is somewhere in the South Pacific. It must be one of these islands, is where I think. So the east coast of the Malayan Peninsula, so on the right side of the map, is wetter in January. In Western India, it is the other way around, where it's dry in January. So in Malayan, the east coast is wet because the northeast wind blows onshore. Then in July, when the mountainous spine of the peninsula relieves, then that must be wet Malaysia. So that thing which is the half border up to, I don't know it. Laos is north, Vietnam is south, so this is it must be Cambodia and Thailand. Thailand and more something, and this is a bit thing. Now, and there's north wind east blow onshore when in July, and the mountainous spine of the peninsula relieves the southwest monsoon of the moisture before we reach the east. Southwest. Why should southwest reach the east? Now I don't know about these weather things. So southwest never comes to the east. Whatever. It's the other way around because the wind is blowing into the other direction. I don't know. Whatever, it can be the other way around. So basically, just because one country which has monsoon land has a wet season doesn't mean another place has wet season. Vegetation is as varied as the climate patterns. Rainforests, deciduous forest, grassland, scrub and desert are all found in the monsoon land. Deciduous trees shed their leaves at the beginning of the hot season to prevent excessive water loss by transpiration. The hot season must be the dry season, which must be in India, Western India, then in January. But it lies at the equator almost. Okay, we're through with it. Basically, the main things we don't really understand are the wind directions, but they are only necessary to explain it in detail. The overbroad scheme, how it works, do we understand? It is in the winter, the air in the Himalaya is cooling down quite fast. On land, it cools down faster because land is cooling down faster than water. You can heat up air easier than water. And there's no high temperature, and that causes the air to be pressed out. In summer, it heats up on the land in the Himalaya, and now there's a low temperature, low atmospheric pressure, and the air sucked in from the sea, and it has a lot of water in it. It comes and at the mountain ranges, it rains down as monsoon rains. And that was the climatology part. In the next part, we're going to come back to the monsoon land. We're going to read it all again. Look if you maybe understand a bit more, or if you can make something coherent out of the things we understand as a presentation. That means if you are here for climatology, you can go directly to the next part of climatology. If you stay here and participate in the martial arts basics training, that is better here always. One leg up, point of the toes down. Bring the toes up and down. Other leg. and toes up. And take one leg at the ankle, straight back, knee down, change. And one leg to the side, with the toes in front, we're stretching the inner side of the leg. Over again. And the lenses go from side to side. And back into the middle. And now lunges in front with the right leg and back. And left leg in front and back. Right leg, back, and one of that left leg. And now the shoulder snow blow. Knee up and back. 1, 2, 3, up and back. 2, 3, up and back. 1, 2, 3, up and back. 2 more. Now stretch kicks. Hand out, kick against it. 1, 2, 3 steps, kick out. 3, hand out, kick. 1, 2, 3, hand out, kick. 2, 3, kick. 2 more. And now a frog. Knee up, back, up and in, up and back, up and in. And now question kicks. Leg up and back, up and in, up and back, up and in. And now lunge kicks. So I'm going to kick now close to the camera. Lunge in front of the right leg, knee down, up and kick, and again. And left leg in front, knee down, and kick. And right leg in front, and kick. And left leg, and kick. And right leg, and kick. And squat kicks. Squat down, and kick. Squat, and kick. Squat, and kick. You can do wider squats. Now the hiking frog. Squat and crash can kick. Squat, crash can kick. Two. And swing kicks. Swing up. 1, 2, 3. Swing up. 1, 2, 3. Swing and up. And the last one. And 12 push-ups. Hands underneath the shoulders, tuck the tailbone in and down, elbows close to the rib cage and up again. And number 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, and 10, and the last 2, 11, and 12. And heel onto the ground and pull the toes in. Pull to the left, pull the toes in. To the right, pull in. Middle and move a leg from left to right. Our heel onto the ground, pull the toes in. To the right, pull in. Left, pull in. Middle and move from left to right. And one leg again up. The other one. Take one leg at the ankle. The other one. Legs wide apart. Breathing out. In and close the legs. And breathing out. That was a martial arts basic training. I thank you very much and until next time.